Hi, guys. Welcome.
So, Shirley, I think we're live on Facebook.
We are.
We're live. Okay.
Yes, we are.
All right. So, as everybody is kind of coming on board, as you guys know, we love doing the little videos. So, I will get that up and running. It's a 3-minute motivational video. Let's do this. Share sound. Okay. Hopefully, it works. Let's see.
I wonder why stories always get focused on one. It's easy to see the leader at the front. Even if that leader is guiding from the back, the story of one still forms. But what's truly behind it all? It's teamwork. We want to understand things through heroes. We want to remember the legends. And of course we should. Extraordinary people can do extraordinary things, but rarely on their own. Behind the person are the people. Surrounding the greatest achievements is the greatness of many. So let's learn about leadership, the vision to inspire others. We need those who can see the world differently, create something new, bend the future path in a better direction. But let's also learn about what it takes to join forces with others. Let's recognize the incredible spirit that allows great teams to come together. Let's also lift up those gifts. Because what does great teamwork take? Cooperation. The willingness to fit into the strengths and weaknesses of others. Commitment. The choice to keep showing up. The decision to keep being accountable to the needs of many. Contribution. The agreement that we may need to each give up some of our self-interests, to give up on me first, in order to reach the full height of we. When we stop to think about the inner strengths needed to play your full part of being on a team, it's extraordinary. Some of my favorite moments in life have come through teamwork. Being arm to arm with a group who's worked and fought and strived to do something that they could only do. That is how greatness takes shape. That is the beauty of teamwork. They would be the first to say it. Michael Jordan, as incredible as he is, did not reach 6 titles on his own. Warren Buffett, the brilliant mind, cannot do it without the abilities of others. Beyonce, the picture of talent, cannot do what she does without the abilities of others. Want to be truly inspired? Look beyond the one and see the unbelievable talent of the team. Strive to be your best. Keep leading your life, but also remember the importance of having others around you and what that takes. We know the great stories, the heroes, the legends. What's behind it all? It's teamwork.
Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that video very much. Those of you resonate with that theme, it's all about teamwork, right? If you have an opinion or want to share a thought on that, please put it in the chat. Let's hear what you're saying, and you want to share your events, no problem at all. So I want to welcome everybody to the Pineapple Chit Chat tonight. Remember, it's all about being tough on the outside, sweet on the inside, and wearing your crown of gratitude proudly. Welcome, everybody. So my co-hosts Cynthia and Shirley is here, and we have a special guest today, Dan Heon. Cynthia, you want to say a quick hello?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and it's going to be a great show. It's always great to have Dan on. Thanks, Dan.
Shirley.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back, Dan, and welcome everybody else. It's great to be here.
Dan, thank you very much. Please say a quick hello to everybody as well. Love having you on the Pineapple Chit Chat.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good to be here and see some familiar faces. I love the discussions that we have, Mitch, at the Pineapple podcast, and there's always so many good things. I actually, on my day-to-day consultations, I'm sending everybody to go watch our podcast because there's so much information packed in there, and I'm like, here, go watch the videos and you'll learn more about what I'm talking about right now, because I don't have 2 hours, to give them the details. So, it's a great team effort put on by, Cynthia, Shirley, and yourself. And I always love coming on and answering questions and sharing all this knowledge with everybody to get their investment career moving ahead. So I love it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So no better theme than teamwork, as the video says, right? We really have to be mindful of it. And I selected this specifically because I know Dan was coming here, and all of us are sort of in the same journey of real estate development, whether it's the private side or the active side. The fact is, you do need to build a strong team of people around you. And sometimes we get introductions to people. They may say 1 or 2 things that kind of upsets you and you want to move away from it. It's like, no, you got to come back. You got to work problems out. Because if people are helping you solve problems, they're never always perfect. As long as the value and the relationship is there, I think that's critical to it all. So today we're going to be talking about registered funds. A lot of people are trying to figure out still, what do I do with registered funds? It's sitting in the bank. I want to invest it. I would like to make maybe 10, 15, 12, 13, 20% interest per year on that, but not really sure on how the process actually works. So we thought that today we'll talk a bit about the registered funds and lending and funding a deal as a whole, because it's a two-sided equation. You have working partners that bring forward deals and they do their best work to structure it. And sometimes they have opportunities that can use registered funds. And so people need to know, how do you deploy the funds into those opportunities? And Dan does a lot of work with a lot of the trust companies that do the facilitation for us. And we thought it would be a great idea to have these conversations. So before I kind of jump into the topic, I'd just love to know how many of you, and if you can put it in the chat, how many of you actually have registered funds that's sitting in a place where it's not really making a lot of money, or it's in Olympia Trust and you're not sure which project to deploy it in? If you could just simply say me, I, or put your hands up, or just like to have a sense of it. Okay, yep. TFSA, absolutely. Looking for projects for registered funds. Yeah, so this is the topic that we're covering today, because I think it's really important for us to understand, how do you do this properly, So Dan, I want to bring you in on this as well. We often talk about, well, what can you really do with registered funds? We'll talk obviously about the processes, but I just want to talk about the philosophy behind it. Why should I invest it? How can I invest it? Because a lot of this opportunity that we're exposed to today was really hidden from us in the general public, right? So how do you see the opportunities for registered funds making a play in the real estate world?
I always like to take a look at registered funds from a much higher level. And as everybody knows, registered funds is, you can put the money aside, invest it how you see fit, and the gains inside that account are not taxable until you take it out, right? And so, how I see RSPs were originally designed many years ago was that you worked your life for a company, a corporation. When you retired, you typically got 60% of your regular wage in a pension. And as we know today, those are few and far between. But originally, when this was designed and set up, there was a lot more people that were retiring with, a certain X% of their income as a pension. And the RSPs, in my opinion, were designed such that, if you were used to making $100,000 and your pension was giving you 60, then you've worked your whole life to save up all these RSPs. and you would take out the supplement to maintain a level of, standard of living that you were used to. And, makes total logical sense. But you know what, the days of putting mutual funds into your RSPs and crossing your fingers, hoping that the banks invested your money wisely, along with a lot of companies, not having a pension or going, bankrupt. What were some of the companies, the big, large ones? With Simpson Sears, wasn't that one of them? Or, you hear all about these horrible stories. And so, us in the real estate world realize that yes, we can do financial planning with stocks, bonds, mutual funds, but unless you have a really, really savvy investor that takes care of you rather than their own pocketbook, aka commissions and deal fees, if you find a good one, you want to hang on to them like they're gold. And some people, I do talk to them and they say, look, I've got a real estate portfolio, but I trust my advisor. He's always done good for me over the long term, and a certain percent of my portfolio I'm going to trust with him. So there's nothing wrong with that. But those of you like me and most of the other people I deal with on a day-to-day basis have not had good experiences. Like, I pulled all my money out and kind of self-directed myself. But I do believe that a TFSA is an amazing facility where you can create a great asset base or investment base inside your TFSA. And when you pull it out, you've got a really good, non-taxed revenue stream. The only thing is, they limit how much you can put in there. So, to grow it, we have to talk about some of the things we're talking about here tonight. So, I think everybody, I always maintain that nobody's going to take better care of your money than you. I don't care who it is, but if you are in charge of your money, and a lot of you we've met through, Keyspire and other communities like that, you've made a commitment to get that knowledge, to learn, to be part of the team that is taking care of their own money. And, I commend everyone on this call for doing that, because, I think that's the only way, to get ahead. Because if you just blindly, give your money over to somebody else to manage it, not so good things can happen. I always maintain that if you, send your, you work all your life and you save up, $100,000-$200,000, and you just blindly hand that over to somebody to manage it for you, who maybe just graduated from college, has no years of investing themselves, and are really just salespeople for the company they work for, not so good things can happen, because they're not looking out for the best for you. Having said that, getting back to the RSP sort of things, if we look at it holistically, we can do stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. But like I said, a lot of people haven't had good experiences with that. And that's probably why you're on this call here today. So today, as Mitch alluded to, we want to talk about inside the realm of real estate. It offers the security, the collateral, the returns, the leverage. I mean, there's just so many good things that come along with investing your capital into a real estate deal rather than just blindly signing it over. So those are the discussions we want to have today, is saying, hey, what are our options? How does that work? And, some of the things maybe that we discussed today, nobody's ever really heard about. And how does that work? And how is my money protected? And what kind of questions should I be asking if I'm looking at entering into a deal like you and Mitch are talking about today? So I think that's a kind of a good recap of what we kind of want to cover today. And maybe the next thing, maybe all of us on this call can rattle off the different types of investments either you've heard about, or you've seen, or you've personally invested in. And we'll just kind of create a big list of all the different options that are available. And then maybe the ones that are most popular, we'll kind of dive into a little bit more. How does that sound, Mitch?
That sounds perfect, because that's exactly what we want to do today. We really want to understand the whole process, the way things work, and really and truly what can we do as investors, right? As you know, traditionally, people go into work. The reason why they put money in the RRSP is because they get a tax break. So that's the philosophy. That's the reason why most people put RRSPs. They're never thinking about, can I truly earn a lot of money in it? They leave it in the bank. I've met people with RSPs for 20 years and it's really not gone anywhere. And that's our training. That's how we feel it is. That was my training before getting into the real estate and understanding there's a whole world of opportunities waiting. We just have to be mindful of how we navigate this new space of real estate investing with registered funds, because I think, depending on the earnings that you can make, you can really plan for retirement with registered funds by using that. And I think some of the things, if you guys want to tell me, what do you think are all registered funds? We all know RSPs or RESPs. What else? What other vehicles are there that you would consider registered? Dan spoke about TFSAs. There's LIRAs. There's a fair. There you go. So LIRA. Aaron says TFSA LIRA. That's right. There are vehicles that we don't even know that we could invest. Nobody knew that the LIRA is something that you could invest because it's a locked-in retirement account, right? But you can. RESP. Again, people feel like this is something that's geared for the kids. There's some tax benefits coming in that way. So maybe we can't invest it, but you can, right? So I think just understanding that, the RIFs is an interesting piece. And maybe, Dan, you can talk a little bit on that. But basically, your RSPs or registered funds turns into a RIF at a certain age. And now you have to start pulling money out and paying the taxes, right? I think that's one of the keys there. But let's unfold. We kind of know what are the registered funds. But
there's something that popped into my head as you were talking about what can we do with our registered funds. And often I get asked a lot of questions when it comes to a question like that. And I think it's important to say, what can't I do with the RSPs? And so, just a quick touch on that. I often get asked, I have all these RSPs. I want to buy an investment property for myself, and the other question I get asked is, can I take that money out and somehow, invest in the business or a deal or, something that they are in fact, overseeing themselves. And CRA definitely puts a stop to anything like that. So be very careful. They call it arm's length. So arm's length means family, blood relatives, or business associates is a no-no. And so CRA will deem your RSP to be cashed in the minute you did that deal and charge you back taxes and late penalties and just horrible things. So be really careful. If anybody presents to you some kind of an opportunity, here about a month ago, I saw all over Facebook in some categories where there was hey, as far as the government knows, your RSP is making 10% interest, but over on the side here, we won't tell anybody. I'll pay you a management fee of $50,000 or 20% of the profit. And that is such horrible advice. And the reason being is that all it takes is one audit session and these two streams of income get linked and they see the commonality there, and you're going to get in big trouble. So be really careful if you're lending your RSPs, let's say in a mortgage opportunity, and somebody offers you a bonus outside of that RSP, you are then deemed as a business partner, and not so good things could be happening in the future. Will it happen? We don't know. But is there a chance of it happening? Yes. And this is where you want to be cautious. So anytime you get linked together with your RSPs and any form of business partnership, I don't care what that looks like, equity sharing, profit sharing, cash flow sharing, anything that's outside of that little RSP deal, on a mortgage, I'm talking, you could get yourself in trouble. So just be aware of that. So again, what can't we do is lend money to ourselves on a personal house or an investment property, and or doing a non-arms related deal, lending mortgages to Mitch, and then he pays me from his company back to me as a management fee. Definitely a no-no. All it takes is someone to link all those dots, seeing that Mitch and I are business partners and I use my RSPs to fund his deal. Not good. Now, having said that, I call it, and an old friend of mine, Peter Kinch, and I used to describe this as what we call the Sasquatch mortgage. And so if anybody has never heard of this, this is where, in fact, the rules are that I can take my RSPs and lend it on a personal house that I do have, okay? And in a minute, I'll tell you why this mortgage option is called a Sasquatch mortgage, because there is a way that I can take my mortgages and lend them to myself. And here's their criteria. I must go through the qualification process. I must send that application and that request for that mortgage to get insured through CMHC. So everybody on this call has heard of CMHC. They know CMHC. They know how difficult they are. But if I want to put my own RSPs on my own house, I have to get somehow that deal to be approved by the government, and then and only then will my RSPs be allowed to go on a deal on myself. And I call them a Sasquatch mortgage because people know that they exist, but nobody's ever seen one. So that's the joke on it, right? They're out there. It is fully legal, but I mean, it's next to impossible. You're paying insurance, 4% typically on the money that you're taking out, and the government insures that mortgage so that if something happens to you, you quit paying it, the government will put that money back into your RSP. That's why they allow it. But the difficulty, the cost, the administration, the work is just it's not feasible or economical. So I don't want anybody on this call to say, hey, Dan, you said you can't do it on your personal home. You can, but it's probably going to take you 6 months and thousands of dollars to, figure out how to make that happen. So anyways, save you a bunch of time and effort on that. So coming back to it is, that's something that we can't do. And so be aware, be cautious if anybody's presenting a deal to you where it seems like you are business partners rather than just a flat out money lender.
Yeah, I think, Dan, that's definitely things to think about. But from the membership here, if you can light up in the chat, would let us know how many of you were aware that you could actually use your registered funds for doing a mortgage, whether it's with somebody that not necessarily in the arm's length, but non-arm's length rule, where you can lend to people that might be work affiliates, relatives that are not like in that first generation thing, that you can actually lend a mortgage to somebody. If you could put it in there, I would like to know yes, no, because I think that's a place that a lot of people don't realize that they can do that. So
and that's where we take a look at it and brainstorm all the different options or investment vehicles that we can use RSPs for. Maybe let's rewind and go back to that idea, Mitch. I saw mortgages. Cynthia put in mortgages. Cynthia put in MFTs. Aaron's got a mortgage investment company, a MIC. So, LPGPs, you can use the RSPs. So, investment in corporations, and whether that corporation does real estate development or if they build widgets, your RSPs can invest in that company. So, there's lots of different options there. Anybody else throw one into the chat that we haven't mentioned yet? I think
they've covered it all here. The one thing is, yes, people can actually invest in companies as well, depending on what projects they're doing. But that's a lot, right? That is a lot. So definitely want to sort of take it down into bite-sized pieces so people can understand what is the easiest and what is the more technical side. But before we do that, let's bring in Sahar, because she had a question or a comment she wanted to bring on. Hello, Sahar.
Hello. Hey, Mitch. Hi, Dan.
Good.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't have a question. You asked, I just raised a hand. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Oh, you just. Okay, well, you have the floor now. So what do you know about RSPs? Have you lent money before through RSPs?
Yes, I have used my RSP for a land development project, my TFSA for another land assembly project.
Beautiful.
I'll have some room in my TFSA. I'm looking for hopefully next one to use another piece of my TFSA still there.
Love it. Absolutely. So that's great. That's exactly what the game is about. It's putting the money into the right places. So Dan, we talked a lot. We talked about MFT. We talked about MIC. We talked about LPs. That's a lot coming to people as well. So what would you say is the simplest form of moving your money into those projects, and what will be the more complicated side of it?
In terms of investment vehicles, is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? I mean, maybe we go back to, you know, how does that work? And I think for a lot of these creative deals that we learn as real estate investors, you need what's called a trustee, okay? So, you know, you may have your mutual funds or your RSPs currently at an investors group. You might have it at Scotia McLeod or, you know, a different bank entity. And to do some of the ideas that we're going to bring forward today, you know, it's required to have a trustee that's registered with CRA, that they're going to manage these funds in a tax compliant manner, I guess. And so there's only a few out there that will do kind of real estate type of investing inside the RSP envelope, if you will. And my favorite is Olympia Trust. A lot of people, you know, love them, you know, have seen them go through their explosive growth, and maybe their customer service wasn't so well and their fees have gone up. But there's a reason they've been around for 21, 22 years. They are the biggest player, the largest player, the most experienced player. And for those reasons, they are my favorite. But are they, you know, have they had some challenges over the years? Yes, most definitely. But, you know, in terms of logistics, you know, how that looks is you go to olympiatrust.com. They've actually got it all streamlined online now. You can fill out and open up an account over there. Make sure it's a self-directed account, and they actually online can request a transfer, they call it, from your existing RSP account over to the Olympia Trust account. And that can take, you know, 2 weeks. It can take up to 6 weeks, but the government, you know, makes sure that your money doesn't take longer than 6 weeks, or whoever is sending the money can get in big trouble. And often we ask ourselves, why would it take so long for the money to get transferred? We can go into why somebody doesn't want to lose another month's worth of commission checks. If they hold on to your money for one more month, they're going to get one more commission check. So there's various reasons why, but the government makes sure that 6 weeks, your money has to end up in Olympia Trust. And really, for a lot of the investments we're going to talk about tonight, you can't initiate that deal until your money is there at Olympia Trust, ready to go. Mitch, you and I did that mortgage investment a few years back, and you know, somebody didn't quite have their money ready, and we had to wait for them, and it stalled out the whole deal. So you know what? Yep. I think that's a very important question that investors are looking for is your money at Olympia? Is it ready to go? Okay, great. Now we'll put it into one of these vehicles that, you know, we're talking about here tonight. So a very, very important, you know, step, but very easy. If you go on the website, if you have challenges, I know they have stepped things up and gotten a lot better with their customer service. So, you know, definitely that is how the money ends up there. And once it's there, then you can work with your deal coordinator, whoever's running that deal, in terms of what paperwork do I need? Do I need a lawyer? Don't I need a lawyer? Who at Olympia Trust is going to, you know, process these papers, if you will, and take care of it like that. So that's what happens as your money gets transferred over. And once it's there, great. In terms of answering Mitch's question, probably the easiest one in my world is probably just a private mortgage investment. A lot of people have been aware that I do mortgages, and I have a lot of people that have money that they want to lend out. And on the other side, a lot of people who want to borrow, you know, money to do their real estate projects. And in my mind, that is an ideal, perfect world, and really, really simple. Why is that simple? It's because I don't want to lend my money to somebody who's having financial troubles. Okay, out there on the radio, you'll hear, if you can't bank on the banks, you know, call me, I'll get you some money. They're fishing for the people who have a financial need. Maybe, you know, they've got an illness in the family or a death, and somehow there's no income coming in, those companies are lending money to people in a not so desirable situation and charging them a horrific fee. If you think the interest rates we're talking about here tonight as a real estate investor are bad, call one of those ads and try and borrow 100 grand. You will see some very nasty fees and interest rates. And that's one of the reasons why I like to do what I do, because I think those companies give the legitimate people a bad name. And in our industry, we actually have a name for vultures. Please erase that out of the tape, Mitch, but we call them the loan to own, because they're lending to people that they know they can never kind of get back out on top of it. And through a power of sale or foreclosure, they are going to own that house one day, and it's not good. So those people give the legitimate money lenders and borrowers, a bad reputation. But nevertheless, my clients are all real estate investors, and typically they've got really good credit, a good net worth. It's just, we're going to take that house and we're going to rip it all apart. And of course, Mitch, what a bank is going to say when you rip apart that house and you make it beautiful again, right? They're going, oh my God, you're touching my collateral. We're out. We're not giving you a cent. Yeah. You shouldn't have told us that, right? How many bankers have said, you shouldn't have told me that? Now I can't give you the loan. It's terrible, right? So that's right. Anyhow, for me, that's the most simplest. I actually had my real estate lawyer in Toronto here asked me today. He said, you know what? I pay too much tax. I think I'm going to put some money in my RSP. Can you tell me how this RSP mortgage stuff works? And I said, you know what? You are a real estate lawyer. I said, it makes no difference whether it's RSP or RSP. Basically, your money gets registered on the title of that property with an agreement of payments as a start date and an end date. And here's the collateral. And we all know that if you stop making your mortgage payments, what happens? The lender makes a big, nasty phone call to a really bad, nasty lawyer. And they say, Mr. Borer, you got to sell that house and fix this up, or I'm going to sell your house for you and get the money back. And you'll probably make way more money if you sell your house. So for me, in my mind, in my world, the easiest one is you put your money in the RSP account. You call somebody like myself that will find deals, check the deals. So a lot of people say, well, how does that work? And what do you do as a mortgage broker? I said, well, I'm checking my client's credit. Most important, I'm checking the exit strategy. How are you going to get this money back in 12 months from now when the loan is due? And if I don't like your plan, being an investor myself, if I don't like your plan, you're not getting, Mitch's money or my client's money. I said, you better convince me that you know what you're doing and you have the capacity to make this deal work. And, we do the evaluation of the property. We hire a third-party appraisal company to check it out. So we do all of that. And I guess that's why I think it's simple, is because I'm doing all the work for you, right? You just put the money in there. I check it all out. I give you the documents. Check. Okay.
I'm glad you said that, Dan, because it was really something quite complicated. So to simplify it, we basically find a broker like yourself that is able to do registered funds mortgages, and we say, here you go, tell me what you need. And it's done. Because all of the complications, you're going to take care of it. So that's simplified.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, exactly. In my mind, that's the easy one.
That's right, because you do it time and time again. So I love that. The fact is basically what we're saying is what we need in our team if we're looking to use registered funds as a mortgage is find a broker that does the registered funds mortgages like yourself, and then you take care of all the complications. Basically, I'm just signing papers. And the money is moving on the mortgages, which means it's secured. So anything goes wrong, they're going to do that. The other thing too is, maybe we can talk about that. So that's one way. Align ourselves with you, we can do mortgages. Quite often we see the romantic stuff about the land developers, the people like the Greybrooks, and even Equiton is going into the land development side. Then we have other people that have mutual fund trusts. If you have experience along that line too, I guess if I'm sitting here with the funds, I moved it to Olympia Trust, I'm ready to go. How do I find the right deals, and what are some of the things I might want to consider to say, hey, you know what? maybe I'll do the big company ones, or maybe I'll do the sort of the smaller size development, because once you go to a mutual fund trust or a limited partnership, you're kind of in a big space already, because that's not for the single family home. Those are for serious real estate players, you know? So let's sort of step back now. Okay, so how do I find somebody with a mutual fund trust or limited partnership opportunity, and how would that work? Do I also need a broker to help me move those funds over?
Again, you can't do any of the investments that we're talking about until your money is at the trustee or at Olympia Trust, let's say, right? So, you know, I think that is the first step for anybody looking at taking control of their own RSP account and investing in any, you know, development or project or company that we're talking about. How do you find them? I guess you go to a KeySpire Summit. They're all around, a room full of them there.
The networking, yeah,
The other
absolutely.
one is on the internet, you know, networking, you know, podcasts like this. I mean, there's just so many different ways to find the different opportunities, I guess. And now, you know, of course, what I love to do is take successful real estate investors and bring them to the next highest level. And usually, as you know, Mitch, it's all about, in my advice is following my footsteps and taking them through the journey. And depending on the size of their deal they're looking to do, they may create an LPGP. They may create, you know, $5 million plus really allows a mutual fund trust, which is just a fancy name for a limited partnership, general partnership that allows you to use registered funds. Okay, so that's when you hear the word mutual fund trust, all you're really saying is that this is a limited partnership, general partnership that allows you to invest registered funds. Okay, and so a lot of times the questions will come up: why would somebody want registered funds as a land developer? And I think it stems from what we just talked about. If I'm a real estate investor and I borrow your RSP money, what comes out of my pocket every month, right? The mortgage payment, okay? So if I'm doing a real estate deal and I know that I have to pay you $1,200, $1,500 a month for that mortgage, that's coming out of my pocket, because while I'm tearing that house apart, while I'm doing this, while I'm doing the project, that $1,500 I'm paying your RSP is coming out of my pocket, right? It's a mortgage. If I don't pay you, come take my house away. So how many of those do you think I can do at any one given time? You know, I've got $1,200 draining out of my pocket every month to that one deal. If I want to go professional as a real estate investor and do 10 of those, you know, 10 of those projects, how much money have I got going out of my bank account every month, on top of my staff, on top of my lawyer, on top of my accountants? Like, it is a definite financial drain. So when we look at it that way and we say, hey, everybody who wants to take their business to a successful level, to a super successful level, doesn't want to have the risk, the administration, you know, all of the you know, the things that we just talked about as a small to medium player. If you've got one mortgage payment, you know, big deal, you can manage that out of your other cash flow or reserve capital set aside. But when you ramp this up to a large size, 5, 10, 15 million, those payments every month are huge. They're massive. And plus they're a big risk. So what we want to do is take that RSP, and instead of invest it as a debt mortgage where you get those payments every month, as an investor, I want to take that RSP and bring them on as an equity partner. Okay, so that's a very, very different way of doing business, and it has a benefit to both sides. Okay, so when you're a mortgage investor, you get cash dripped every month. Okay, and it's important. I think everybody in this call should do a mortgage investment. Why? Because one day you've got to take all that equity and you've got to create a monthly income coming in, and that's how we retire. Okay, so it's really important that you understand that when you invest in real estate, you can invest for income, which what I personally would call the mortgage investments, because you put money out, you get a stream of income every month, and you can live off that stuff. On the equity side,
as an investor coming in, Dan, like, how am I deciding to invest with you? Let's say, because I believe you have a mutual fund trust. So how do I invest with Mitch on his mortgages? Like, what am I looking at as the person with the money that wants to invest and I am not experienced enough, you know? What should I ask you if you have a mutual fund trust? Am I only interested in the rate of return, or what would you say we need to look at?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a great question, you know, and I think, yeah, you're not far behind on your mutual fund trust there, Mitch. We're bringing you into that program here real soon. But I mean, I think just to finish off that other thought, when you're investing with, let's say, my mutual fund or anybody's mutual fund, you're asking, is this a debt payment or is this an income stream? Because you do have mutual fund trusts that will give you income stream and pay you a monthly fee. So not to say that you can't do it, but why, as a real estate investor, would I want to invest into a mutual fund trust? Not so that I can use your RSPs as maybe a debt instrument, but more so an equity, okay? And this is where the gray books are, right? The land developers, they'll take your money and they'll say, look, you don't get your money back for 5 to 7 years. I've got to take your money, I've got to invest it, I've got to buy the land, I've got to add value, and you will make money and the company will make money. And this is, that leads to the answer that your question proposes is, what questions do we ask? If we're going to invest in the money, we better know, we don't want to just invest blindly. We need to know what questions should we be asking to anybody that has an opportunity that you're looking to put your money into. And, often I get asked, what kind of due diligence can you do? What is there? What should we be looking? What should we be asking?
Yep. Hold on a second there, Dan. I'd love to hear from everybody as well. What questions would you be asking a potential person that you're going to be investing with? If you guys could put that in the chat, I would really love to get your answers on some of that.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I think Charlie, Nina, you guys have some great questions that you asked me. So, I mean, there's some really good people on this call that can answer a lot of these questions. Yeah. Don't be shy. Share the Jamie. You're another expert on this stuff. Throw it there. What are some of the questions that?
Absolutely. This is the chit chat. So please, let's use the chat and put up your hands, and we can chit chat on it as well. So Sahar wants to know about the ROI, right? So what's in it? What is the return that I'm getting?
Yeah.
What is the timeline and exit strategy? Very good. Yep, Aaron, love that. What is the exit strategy, Laura Lee? That's right. You're coming into the deal, but how are we getting out of the deal, right?
Yeah, you heard me as a mortgage broker looking at a mortgage investment. I'm asking the guy paying you your money back, how are you going to get out of this deal, right? And I think the other things that come up to me in my mind are, where's the property located? I mean, if that property is located in some area that's maybe having a downturn and there's no real, view for the real estate market to be steady or increase, how am I going to get my money back? How am I going to get that return on investment if that investment is an area that's having, stale growth? And a lot of people may say, oh, Alberta, it hasn't gone up 1 penny. I'm not investing there at all. But, if you look at the economic fundamentals, now finally, after 15 years, we're seeing some percolation. So, you got to ask, what is that location? What's going on in Alberta right now? What's going on in the GTA? We've seen, 2 months of really increased activity, actually bidding wars coming back on properties again. It's like crazy. So, really knowing your area. I want to know about that. Is that part of the exit strategy? If I don't believe it, what I'm being told, here's something really important to all investors. You should always trust what the person is telling you, but here's the key: verification. Verify, okay? I see a lot of, heads nodding, but so important that, hey, we can, if I want you to invest your money, I'm going to tell you, the moon is, is huge, right? And we want to say, okay, great. Now tell me all the details. And do I believe that, Vancouver Island, Dan, you told me that's one of the hottest spots in Canada right now. I'm going to go on the Western Investor. I'm going to look at, some of the statistics for housing starts. I'm going to I'm going to read some news articles. I'm going to do Google searches, right? So I'm just going to check. Maybe I call some real estate agents and say, hey, what's going on in your area? What do you see coming? There's just a ton of resources out there
So
that
there's
we
a
can
lot of
double check.
insights. Yeah, so there's a lot of insights in terms of really getting down, drilling down the question after question to get an insight, right? You said it right here. Nina wants to know about the monthly cash flow after liking the project and the exit strategy. I like that. That's pretty cool, Like, let me like the deal, let me understand everything, and then what am I getting into it? Cynthia has an interesting one here. How many deals have you completed like this?
Oh, I like that one. Yes, because if you, you know what, there's nothing wrong with investing with startup people. There's nothing wrong. Everybody has to start somewhere. But as long as you're aware of it, and maybe you ask for a little bit extra protection for somebody doing their very first deal, right? Because you don't want to pay for teaching some new person all their mistakes. So, maybe you ask a little bit more protection for that new person. I'm not saying don't invest with them, but you just have to go in with your eyes wide open, and maybe you're asking a little bit more questions. So that's perfect. What is your experience? What have you done in this field before? Yep. And like I said, it's not necessarily a showstopper. It's just something that you want to be aware of, and maybe you add a little bit extra protection.
Love it. And surely in the Facebook section as well, people are talking about the exit strategy. What is your exit strategy? Allison has the same thought. Like, this is very insightful. I'm glad you guys are sharing this with us, because it means that you're thinking along the right processes for doing this. This is a new venture, learning to lend registered funds. That's why we have these types of forums. It's really for people to figure it out. And, oh, Cynthia is really drilling them. Have you ever lost any investors' money in the past? How many of them would say yes or no, Cynthia?
Yeah, I love that question. On the mortgage side, I've been doing those private mortgages for 21 years, Mitch, and not one of my investors has ever lost money on the private mortgage side. As an investor, I've done some deals where the market has not been favorable to me, and COVID and all the others. So have I lost money on some of my investments? Yes, I can never claim that every penny I invested made a fortune, but I can tell you that 85% of my deals make a lot of money, and 15% lose. I minimize as much as I can lose and get out of that deal as fast as I can. But I think everybody who's an investor has lost money at some point or the other, right? Cynthia.
100%. Yeah.
I just want to add to Shirley's about your exit strategy. I want to know A, B, and C plans as well.
Yeah,
I think for exit, I don't want one. I want at least two.
I think anybody that has multiple exit strategies, I want to invest in that one. Do you know what I'm saying? Is to give you an example, in 2006, I bought a land development project, and I was halfway through, actually 3/4 of the way through my land development project, and 2008 and 2009 came. And if everybody remembers, up until then, that was the largest worldwide mortgage caused recession the world had ever seen up until then. And I will bank $2 million worth of construction money, and my pre-sales all dropped by $70,000 a piece. And I'll tell you, life was not fun. And Dan Heon had a few sleepless nights, but that was the whole world went to hell in a handbasket overnight. And having an exit strategy of taking my land development units that were just coming online, but the value had dropped, and being able to provide affordable rental units. So I built 3-bedroom townhomes in Edmonton, and I turned them into rental units and put residential mortgages on there, and they looked amazing on the 4 Ways to Win. And I took that residential mortgage and I paid back my $2 million construction money, and I was able to pay off the debts. A lot of my capital and my investors' capital kind of had to sit in there, but at least we had a tangible asset that was paying us 4 Ways to Win every month. So like Cynthia was saying, is that saved my bacon, because the original plan was to build them, sell them, everybody take their profit and retire. And as we know, the world with COVID and back in 2008 was the bad US mortgage catastrophe, causing everybody to lose millions and millions of dollars. So, you know, multiple exit strategies, firm believer in that. That saved my backside.
There's another thing here mentioned from Johnny. Another question to add, does the working partner have another source of income like a formal job in addition to this project?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, good one, Johnny, because, you know, if my project is a little bit of, has a bit of a delay, can I help support and lift the business with my other income? That's an amazing question to ask, right? If I had the choice and one guy said no and the other guy said yes, I kind of would be leaning over towards the one that, you know, has a little bit of a buffer there, because, you know, I think time, you know, in my example of 2008, 2009, where the deal went a bit sour, you know, time kind of heals things. Look, I'll put it this way. When you do a bad deal in the stock market and your shares go from $500 a share to nothing, what are you left with? Nothing. When your real estate deal goes from 2 million down to 1.5 million, what are you left with? Real estate, dirt, 2x4s, right? It's just a matter of time before it will catch back up. So, I mean, this is why I'm so biased. I love real estate. It's like, I'm not left with a share certificate I can just blow my nose, but, you know, you actually have a tangible asset. So I like it. And I have seen where time will kind of heal the wounds. And like Johnny was saying, if, you know, if I'm the real estate investor and I can put in a little bit of cash into the business to keep it floating, life is good, right? And to be understanding and patient. Do you think my investors in my land development were angry and mad and yelling and screaming that the whole world went to hell in a handbasket? No. But you know what? Working with good people and understanding and saying, hey, my commitment back to every single person in there was, I will not lose your money. It's going to take a bit of time to build out the next phases, and we'll recapture that and pay everybody back every cent. And you know what? They respect that and still move forward. So very, very cool, very interesting. And you know, what we're just talking about right now, Mitch, is knowing the person behind the deal. Like we talked about, are you a rookie? Are you a veteran? Have you ever had a challenge before? Tell me what your worst challenge was in your career and how did you deal with it? You know, this is reminding me of a job interview. Mitch, I want to hire you. You know, tell me about yourself. You know, that kind of idea. Right?
Yeah, you know, that is absolutely correct. I mean, this is the reason why I wanted to get it from everybody as well in terms of their thought process is you're now in a community situation where you're actually getting opportunities that is really not available to just anybody. But at the same time, you have to do a lot of due diligence on your own, which is interview the person. As you say, it's a job interview. Really get to know that person well and what they work for, what they stand for, what their principles are. And then what is the experience? What are they trying to build? Are their goals aligned to your goals, right? Because we often focus on the ROI, but sometimes it's not just the ROI. It's really, are they building sustainable homes? Are they building luxury homes? Does it align to what your vision of the world would be like? And now you're partnering up and getting things done in a very significant way. But the piece I love is I could go probably invest with maybe Matami, Green Home, all these big players that I never have the opportunity to talk to the president or the CEO. In this community, I can talk to the president of the mutual fund trust. Dan Heon is sitting with you know, almost 30 or 40 of us here and a lot of people on Facebook. He runs a mutual fund trust. You know, Johnny is an investor by way of trade, and we can talk to him. We can get to know people. You know, Jamie Lidcoat, he's got a great reputation as well. And these are very touchable people. You know, so I absolutely love that. Laurelie and Ruby, they're working on some interesting deals as well that I just can't wait for them to start sharing as well, because it's just, you can talk to people, you know. Adrian and Lisa, I mean, their cameras are off, but they have worked very hard in terms of giving people opportunities to work with them. Like, this is so cool to be able to be in this type of environment, you know. So I absolutely love it. I applaud all of you for doing what you're doing, which is question me, but let's build a relationship as well, you know. Be tough, as Dan says, validate everything. And let's build a future together, man. Like, how cool is that?
You know what's
Yeah.
You know what's cool, just on that thought, Mitch, is I think the real gems are hiding in a small group like this, because if you invest in a large kind of faceless corporation who does what we do here, it takes so much overhead to run those big companies, right? You have VP, you have, 12 different layers of management, and a lot of your potential profit is going to run the steamship, right? Whereas
Right.
if you catch in on an investment at kind of the medium, before they're this big monster company, there's more profit to be paid back to us as the investors, because it's not going millions and millions of dollars to pay all the bonus for the president, CEO, and this and that, and that's profit right off the top of us. So I mean, I think the real gems come from a community like this. Oh, Mitch, you found that undervalued 21 suite, and if you're a big corporation, get your 8% and be done, right? But no, if I know Mitch on the ground level, I get a share as a 40% stakeholder or whatever those numbers are, right? So I think you're going to see much better ROIs on a group like this, because you don't have that monster overhead that some of those big Gray Brooks and some of the bigger ones have. So really cool. That was a good thought that came out of that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Dan. When you look at it from a financial perspective, the big machinery consumes a lot of money before it could ever reach back to the investor. So great.
But
great
I
point.
wanted to just tie that whole thing in together, because you talked about what can we do in the RSPs, and we threw off a lot of different opportunities, and we talked about the income stream investing, and we talked about the equity stream investing. I do a lot of financial plans for people, and it's all about, okay, how fast do you want to retire? I want to retire in 10 years. Okay, how much money do you want to earn? Well, I want 150,000 a year. Okay, if you have 1.5 million in your investment property, let's get you a nice, safe, secure 10%, and you're done, right? But a lot of the problem comes to people say, well, I don't have 1.5 million, but I want that 150 a year. Okay, what do you have? Well, I've got a million. Okay, then the question becomes, how inside what we're talking about do we get from 1 million to 1.5 million in the 10 years that you said you were going to retire? That's the true question, right? Because we know, and this is why I said everybody should have some kind of a private lending in their background, because that's what's going to create that income that feeds you for the rest of your life, right? And I call it a muscle. I said everybody should have their investment muscle. I said, you know what? Start small. Get your 50, get your 100,000, build that muscle, get it strong. And when you're confident that you can lift the big weights, go to the $1 million deals. That sort of thing. So, so important. And asking the questions once we decide, hey, we don't quite have the income we want in the time frame, we're going to have to allocate some of that money into the equity growth ones. And this is where the LPs and the MFTs and some of the longer term equity growth projects come in handy, right? Is you can take your $1 million and go grow it and come back with $1.5 million, 5, 7, 10 years from now.
100%. I love that thought. Absolutely. Cynthia has been patiently waiting on us, Dan.
We love you, Dan. We love you, Mitch. We just want to know about the time. Is everybody okay? We just want to be mindful of everybody's time here, because we can continue on if you have more time for us.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I can't believe the whole hour has passed here. That's crazy. So maybe somebody has that burning question. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this deal tomorrow. Just could you and Dan cover this? Has anybody got one of those that they just want to chat about it? What should I know about this deal? What should I be asking? You know what? There's another future one. I've been asked so many times saying, what should I be asking? What should I be looking at? And you know what? There's another segment, Mitch.
Yeah, for sure. And just so you guys know as well, this is kind of like at the time when Cynthia usually takes control of the show to allow anyone who would like to introduce themselves, present their deal, practice their pitch. It's a great environment here, so you're more than welcome to give it a go if you want to say something, or even introduce yourself in terms of what investment you're doing, whether it's passive investing or active investing. So this is the time to do it. Going once, twice. Cynthia, I'm going to hand it over to you because I think Dan actually has a very unique opportunity as well that he's going to be presenting on. And then I want to share with you guys my latest deal opportunity as well. So
Perfect. So Mitch, can you give control, I guess, as co-host to Dan so he can share his screen with us, please?
that would be no problem.
Oh, heavens, you know what? I didn't load the PowerPoints. Let me do that. Mitch, maybe you
Okay,
can take over and I'll load my PowerPoint on that.
100%, I'll do that. And you know, before I jump into the deals, guys, I really want you guys as active investors to show up, put your hands up, give it a practice. The whole purpose of the Pineapple Chit Chat on the last segmentation is to give people the opportunity to just practice, because you're going to be talking to people if you're raising funds. You're going to be talking to people if you want to lend the funds, right? So we really want to encourage it as much as possible. Put your hands up, say hello, introduce yourself, because you'll find that there's tremendous value in that. So on the real estate side as well, as you all know, you know, outside of the coaching side that I do with the Keyspire, we also do the investment side, which is the heart and soul of why we're all here, is real estate investing. So we just picked up another, we just closed on, no, sorry, not closed, we just tied up a new acquisition of 24-unit apartment building. So I'll just share that picture with you guys. So if you see this here, this is a 24-unit building that we just picked up just outside Kingston. It's 24 units. It's a beautiful building. I will have a full deck to present shortly. I just didn't want to run it because of the time. So it's under contract, 30 minutes outside Kingston. We are looking for investors to come in as the GPLP sort of opportunity, where the investors are coming in on the LP side of the deal. This is a shared equity deal. So basically, you're going to come in on the deal. We share in the deal. Upon refinancing, we'll work on return of capital and basically ensuring that you make some premium money with your investments as well. So, you know, can't wait to get into the building to see what we're going to be doing. We are currently sort of in the due diligence period. So now is the time. If you want to have a conversation as to how you get involved in this, just reach out to myself, Shirley, or Cynthia. They will connect you with me and we can have a quick conversation on this. But again, this is a shared equity deal. This is not an interest payment deal. This is for wealth building and really being able to pass this on to your generations to come. The idea here is buy this, hold it, let it grow in value. What is the opportunity on this? 12 of the units, so one building is already renovated. The other 12 still has work to be done. So the value add opportunity is tremendous on this building to be able to really optimize it and get the value up quite significantly. So that's the latest acquisition we have on the multifamily space. Hopefully you guys like what you saw there. And like we said, just reach out, let me know. Happy to connect with anybody to discuss real estate. And Dan, are you ready?
Yes, perfect. So I think what I'll do now, I can share my screen. Is that right?
Yes, you can.
Okay. I have to find the tab. 1 second here. Okay, found it. Here we go. So like Mitch was saying, and his deal, that deal would be considered an equity investment. So, you know, if you didn't quite have enough in your investment pool of capital to bump it up to that income level that you're looking for, a deal like Mitch's would be ideal, because then you're again taking your million and you're growing it to a point where you want, and then you turn it into the income stream. And that's, you know, that's going to provide you the lifestyle that you're looking for. This one that I came across here and I've done a lot of work on in the past 6 months would be considered an income stream. Okay, so this is a 6-month deal and it's an income stream. based on a company that I've came across and done a lot of research. And my lawyer that works for the Desmond Group, that's the name of my mutual fund trust, has done a lot of negotiating and securitization with the company in behind this. So I'll show you a bit about this. So we call this offering a high yield convertible short-term note. And it's called a note rather than a mortgage, because basically what it is a note would be a corporate security, so a mortgage tied to a corporation. And the corporation that I found is one called Transpod. And basically, if you haven't heard of it before, it's a company that's based in Toronto, and they've been around for quite some time, but they are the innovators in technology for high-speed rail transit. So if you haven't heard of them, you will hear about them very soon. And the opportunity that we're talking about really quickly is the ability to lend a little bit of debt to the corporation to get them to the next level. And at that point, their company will continue to grow and take their technology worldwide. So this company is here in Canada and poised to do operations all around the world: Texas, Australia, Dubai. So all these countries have taken an interest in this one. But really what we're doing is a short-term 6-month loan where we invest in the company using the corporate assets as our collateral, and they pay us a monthly drip or an installment. So that's what this deal is. No equity, no long-term play on this one. It's just simply a short-term income stream. So this one is paying $16 annually, but you get paid every month. So just to know a bit about that, it is RSP eligible. Minimum is 100,000. And what else can I tell you? You do unfortunately have to be accredited, because there wasn't time to go through the whole process to finish the offering memorandum. So it is only for accredited investors only. And if you Google that company name, you'll see about it. Very, very exciting. All solar electrical driven. 1,000. Look at this. 1,000 kilometers an hour, designed right here in Ontario. So very, very cool stuff. It will, think about getting a package from here to Montreal or Edmonton to Calgary. This thing will get your package there in no time. So for cargo, travel, the whole thing, very, very cool stuff. And again, there's a little bit about the team behind it. And basically, we're just helping get this company, again, to hire more staff, more engineers, take their proven concept to a whole new level where this company will be very famous very, very soon. So again, if anybody wants more information about this, you can reach out to me directly. I will give you all the disclaimers that the lawyers have put together for me, and tell you a bit about the collateralization that my corporate lawyer has put together. But very, very cool stuff. And again, this is all about the lines of an income stream that has an asset behind it to back up the income stream. So all those questions that we're looking at, I and my legal team have been there and put that all together there. So anyhow, if you're interested in a 6-month window and you've got some money that's really not working as far as you'd like it, you can use registered funds as long as it's at Olympia or close to it. So again, thank you, Mitch, for allowing me to chat about that one. And super exciting. And yeah, would love to share that more.
Wonderful. If you want to do the stop share, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Dan, for being a guest with us again. We love the insights that you share with us. Great opportunity. Congratulations, by the way. It looks amazing. So everyone, I think Shirley and these guys put your contact information already. I'll put mine in the chat as well. But like I say, you have Shirley, you have Cynthia. You can connect with us to connect with anybody here. With that being said, guys, I want to say thank you very much for being here today. I am going to stop the recording now.